hear you just because we're filming it so anyone who's watching. So my name is Dr. Hani Jarrar, and I'm a child psychologist. I work very closely with DAA. They are a very inclusive school, as you all know, and so they refer to me whenever there's a child or a family that needs support. And I have a master's in cognitive and clinical neuroscience and a PhD in child psychology, and I've been practicing for the last 15 years. This is a very new topic. We have not done a lot of research on this. So a lot of this is based on research on different topics, coupled with my own personal experience with my children. So I have a 6-year-old boy named Karim and a 3-year-old girl named Lean, and I'm already seeing that this is going to be a problem for us in the future. It's already started to be a problem. So I'm hoping that today we're going to have an open discussion. I want to learn from you as well, because a lot of you have older children, so I want you to give me advice as well on what to do when my kids reach this age. So today we're going to discuss how can we parent in the digital age. So our age is, our children are digital natives. They are born into technology. We weren't. We were born in a time when technology was very basic, and then as we grew up, it became more and more advanced. Our kids were born in a time where technology was very advanced already, so they're digital natives. So it's going to be part of their life for a very long time, and they have to be acquainted with it. They have to be a part of it. They have to, however, know how to use it for their own good and not be slaves to it, if it makes sense. So in a recent talk for Her Majesty Queen Rania, she was in the UN in New York, and they asked her this question, I think it was Morning America, like, what do you do as a parent with your kids and their use of technology? And she said, look, everyone's on social media. They have to be on it, but we just have to understand and teach them and change their relationship with the technology so that they use it for their benefit. People like Steve Jobs and all the amazing people that created this technology for us are very strict with their own kids when it comes to technology. So that just tells us a little bit about how these kind of leaders take this on when it's their own kids. I have a lot of parents that come to see me and say, well, we all did it. We all watched TV and we turned out okay. Well, again, the use of technology when we were younger was very limited. We had 2 TV channels growing up. Most of the time it was like adult programs, TV programs, and then 1 hour a day of children's TV. It was not animated, it was super basic. It was not created, this is very important, the creators of these programs did not create them to hook children in to watch more. They just wanted entertainment for the kids. So when you watch these Tom and Jerry, or I don't know what you watched, I watched Sandy Bell, and these kind of, they were very basic, and when it was turned off, I didn't go into a rage. I was fine. Now my 3-year-old, if I turn off anything, she goes into complete tantrum, and I'll explain to you why that happens. The rest of the time, we spent it in play, and I'm going to talk in a minute why play, unstructured play, is so important for our children. So I'm going to talk you through our happy hormones, things that make us feel happy in life. The first one is oxytocin. Oxytocin is our love hormone. It is secreted when we are with people that we love and that we connect with and that we're close to. This is why it feels so good to go out for a coffee with your best friend or have romantic relationships. This is excreted when a mother just gives birth and she's breastfeeding to form this very important connection with her infant. And sometimes, she looks at pictures and she's like, oh my God, my baby looks terrible. How was I so in love with this little creature? It's because of this love hormone that makes you infatuated with this little creature that's causing you to wake up at odd hours of the night. If it's not the case, you would be hating on this little infant. So oxytocin is very important for our well-being and maintaining mental health. Adrenaline is a hormone that is excreted when we move. when we're active. So this is why you feel so good after a workout or after going to the gym. You always feel reluctant to go to the gym, but then afterwards you feel so much better. And this is in life, this is generally how hard things are. Usually things that are good for you start out really hard and you end up feeling good at the end, and things that are not so good for you start up really easy, and then so for example, the gym, I don't want to go, I don't want to get dressed, and then you get dressed and you feel better, versus purging on a tub of ice cream starts really easy, yes, I'm going to do it, and why did I do that? So we sometimes think that motivation always has to come before the action, when it's not the case. Sometimes we just force our feet to go there, and then we say, okay, this aligns with my values, so I'm going to go, I'm going to practice, and I'm going to feel better afterwards. So adrenaline. Serotonin is released when we are in nature. So as humans, we're not designed to stay in between four walls the whole day. And that's why we love nature and we feel at peace in nature. And we plant trees, fake trees even. We buy fake trees because trees excrete the serotonin, which makes us feel happy. And children, when they're out in nature and when they see animals at peace, it really calms down their nervous system. So when they see cats or dogs playing, purring, this gives them, from an evolutionary perspective, a sign that we are okay. We're not under attack. We are at peace. We are safe. You know. So this gives them messaging that you're okay. It calms them down. So nature. Dopamine is another happy hormone. It makes us feel happy, but it has a double-edged sword. So this is the achievement hormone. Whenever you get a good grade, or you get a promotion at work, or you plant a seed and you water it, and then all of a sudden it's flowering. So this is called the achievement hormone. Now the bad side of it is that it is released also when you're doing things like shopping, gambling. So you get a short-lived dopamine kick. Okay, that's why when you go shopping, sometimes you're like, oh my God, this top is going to make me so happy, and then in the car, you're already forgotten about it. It's not making you happy anymore. This is because this dopamine, this type of dopamine is very short-lived. Same with your phone. This is why our social media is so addictive, because when we get a like, or when we get a news bit, or any sort of entertaining information, we get a dopamine hit. So imagine you have this magic box in your house, and every time you open this box, something new appears. A chocolate, a candy, a piece of news from your best friend in the States. Wouldn't you, and you take the piece of news, you read it, you close the box, you open it, there's a new piece of news. Wouldn't you be so addicted to opening this box over and over? And sometimes it's a message from your friend saying, I love you, you're doing great, oh my God, I love the way you look, I love your top. You'd be, the whole day addicted to this box, and this is what social media is. It's a dopamine addiction machine. So scientists are really smart. People that create Instagram, Facebook, they know this. They're psychologists. A lot of actually creators of games for children contact us, child psychologists, and say, hey, we're going to pay you a lot of money to help us design these games for kids to keep them literally on the game. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is so unethical. No. This is creating great problem-solving skills for kids. And we're going to pay you a lot of money to help us create this. So just keep in mind, as parents, this is what they're doing. And all they want is for kids to stay longer on these games, longer. And there's no regulation. No one is coming to say, you're not allowed, you're allowed. Like, think about alcohol and drugs. It's heavily regulated, heavily. Like, a 16-year-old can't go and buy. With this, if you have a 4-month-old and you decide as a mom that I want this 4-month-old to stay 24/7 on front of the screen, you can. No one will tell you anything. So it's not regulated because there isn't research yet enough to show how bad it is. But as a clinical psychologist, I'm seeing the effects firsthand. And as parents, I'm sure you see the effects of what this can do to our children. So these are all the happy hormones. Now there's another very important hormone, the melatonin hormone. This is the hormone responsible for our sleep. It's light sensitive. So when there's no light, melatonin is released. And when there is lots of light, melatonin is suppressed. When there's lots of light, the body's saying, no time to sleep, you have to wake up, you have to be active. And when the light is going away, then the melatonin starts appearing and you start feeling sleepy. That's why sometimes at sunset you're like, oh, I need a coffee, because the melatonin is starting to get released in your body. Now kids who don't see the sun, their melatonin levels are all over the place. Kids who are on their screens at odd hours of the night, the body doesn't know. The melatonin is like, what, nighttime, so even if they do sleep, the quality of their sleep is really low. They don't get restful sleep. So they get cranky, they get anxious, they get aggressive. Even for us adults, this is, and that's why there are melatonin pills to help you regulate your melatonin so you can sleep. So this is very important. So also sensory experiences. We are noticing that kids are having a lot of sensory difficulties. They can't tolerate high sounds, they can't tolerate textures, they're picky eating a lot, much more. This is because when you're in nature, when you're playing outside, you're exposed to different sensory textures. You're climbing a tree, you're getting a cockroach from under, I don't know, the sand, and you're creating a tunnel, so your body is exposed to all these different textures, so that when something slimy touches your mouth like a banana, you're not disgusted, you're tolerating it because your body has been out in nature and moving this whole time. Now, the way that schools are created, and I'm sorry, I'm in a school right now, but kids don't get a lot of that. So they're in at 8, very early for children, they're out by 3, and they don't move a lot. I mean, DAA is better than other schools, but mostly kids are sedentary. They sit in English, they sit in Arabic, they sit in French, they move to their swimming, they swim a bit, but mostly they're sat down. They don't do any of this. So if they go home and they sit down in front of their screens again, we're in big trouble. That's why we're seeing high levels of anxiety, high levels of depression, high levels of aggression in our teens and in our children. How much unstructured play is needed? Babies need to be playing throughout the day. Toddlers, 5 to 8 hours. 3 to 5 years old. Most of you have school-age children in the 5 to 13, so they need 4 to 5 hours a day. And 11 to 18-year-olds need 3 to 4 hours of unstructured go and play out. I don't need to structure you. I don't need to tell you what to do. I don't need to put you in violin and music and drama and to play. Just play, unstructured. And the value is this: when kids are out, they learn best problem-solving skills, social skills, motor skills, the sensory experiences. And in play, they also, kids who play rough, this is them playing conflict resolution, but in a very safe environment. So kids who don't have unstructured play are very weak in social skills and conflict resolution. It's because they don't play. This is where they learn all these things. A lot of people tell me, okay, well, they play on their computers. Yes, this is the left side is the brain on the computer. So this is how many places are activated in the brain when the child is playing a really tough game where he has to problem solve. And this is how it looks like outside, because you are engaging your motor and your language. And he's sitting in front of a computer. He doesn't have to speak to anyone unless he's speaking to his friends online. But it's a different type of speech. It's different when, hey, listen, let's climb this tree. Where do you think this? No, it's my turn first. Dude, did you kill him? No. Is he dead? No. It's a different type of conversation that's going on when they're playing online. So what do we do? Okay, great, we have a problem, it's not good for our kids, blah, 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 we know all that, so sure. Okay, what do we do? Now, first of all, we need to set very clear limits for our family. What works for us? What is good for us as our family? In our family, in our household, we do technology 0 hours on the weekdays, 2 hours on the weekends, for example. And always when you set your hours, just think, how many hours is my child getting of movement and play and sunshine and how can I incorporate a little bit of technology in there so that he's not an alien that doesn't know anything about whatever's going on. So we set clear limits and we have a contract between us. So I did that with my kids, beginning of the year. First of all, summer was a disaster. They were on the screens 24/7, and I noticed aggression, anxiety, depression, all of these signs, lack of sleep. September came, we sat down and I said, I want to tell you a story about two different kids. One child, his name is Mike. He wakes up in the morning, he does his bed, goes out, plays with his dog, has his breakfast, goes to school, comes back, watches a little bit of screen time, and then goes out to play from 4 to 6, comes home, watches half an hour of screen time, and then go to sleep. The other boy's name's William. He wakes up on his screen, eats breakfast on his screen, goes to school, comes home, plays more, goes out for half an hour, Mom, I played, is it enough? Comes back home, plays, and sleep. Who do you think is happier? And so my kids are still young, so they say William. Older kids will say, Mike, I don't know, the guy that plays more, he's happier. No, wrong answer. It's the guy that has more unstructured play, has a vision into technology, but not the whole time. And as your mom, it's my role to keep you safe and happy. And we have to set clear limits. And it has to be a very clear boundary on how much. I found that a time is better than a time. So if you say you have 1 hour a day, there's going to be a lot of back and forth. Mom, but I did 40, can I have 10 minutes? But if it's you can watch from 3:30 till 4. This is the time that TV is out and screens are out. And then again from 5:30 to 6, it's much easier that way. That the timing rather than how much time they have. It's just easier to set the strictness of the boundary. Now what happens when we have to take away, when we have to turn off? That is very important. So there's going to be tears, there's going to be tantrums, there's going to be rejection, there's going to be saying, I don't want, I'm not ready, no, you're so unfair, you're the worst mom ever. And that's fine, that's okay, that's going to happen. At first that really used to deter me as a mom, and I hated that moment when I knew I was going to take that away from them. But I knew that it's my role as a mom to do that for them. And I explained that to the kids. I said, I have a part of my brain that tells me when I need to stop to do bad things. For example, if I'm eating candy, I have a part of my brain that says, okay, that's enough candy now. You're going to get sick. You are still young, and this part of your brain hasn't developed it, which is true. Their impulsivity control is not there because that part of their brain is not very well developed. So it's my role to come and tell you when you need to stop doing things that are not very good for you. So he kind of understood, and I heard him saying later on, Mom, that part of my brain is becoming stronger. I heard it saying to me to stop watching YouTube. So I was like, oh, great. Now I'm going to have to give you more responsibility to take it over, because eventually you're going to be on your own and your brain needs to tell you when to stop. I'm not going to be there forever. So this kind of contract with setting clear limits and being very clear about when time is out. Be the role model. Easier said than done. If we're 24/7s on our screen, guess what? So if we're not doing this, if we're not setting clear limits for ourselves, if the child is saying, because children will just imitate what they see. If we're glued, they're going to be glued. It's that simple. So no need for over activities. So because a lot of parents are like, yeah, I don't want them on the screen, so every day after school they are enrolled in something so that they're not on the screen. Go back to the fact that kids will need unstructured play. They will need time to unwind. They will need time to just be kids and play outside. This is the best use of their time. And you don't have to structure anything for them. So if they're off the screen and they're safe and coming to you and saying, but what do I do now? You're like, do whatever you want. I'm bored. Good. Being bored is good, because right after you're bored, guess what happens? A creative idea will pop up and will tell you what to do. Being bored is really good for you. Oh, okay. And then you start seeing creative ideas coming up. Time management. So there's something called the Pomodoro technique. So to helping kids manage their time, because one of the main reasons why they get addicted is they don't know how to do this. They don't know how to time manage. They're still very young. Their brains, even with teenagers, organization and planning is not that great for them. So we kind of talk about time management and how we can structure our time throughout the day. And it's okay, be kind to yourself. So if you start setting clear limits and you've had a weekend where you didn't stick to the routine, or you had a summer where it was a tough summer, you were going around, that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be good enough. So even if you're doing like 70%, 60%, that's great. So the final take-home message is technology is a very valuable tool. They have to be online, but we just need to understand or help them create a healthier relationship with technology and screen time use. Thank you.